Well, good morning, Aletheia Church family. I hope you're doing well. Today in the Daily 5, we're going to be wrapping up our focus on Hebrews chapter 6, verse 19, and we've entitled this little series, An Anchor of the Soul. Wherever you are right now, the great promise of this passage in the Bible is that the Christian hope is an anchor of the soul. Now, we've looked at a couple of different questions. We've asked and answered what the anchor is. We've seen that the anchor is the promise of God to make the entire world whole. We've also looked at why the anchor is strong, why it's sure and steadfast. And we discovered it's because God has sworn it by an oath in the person of Jesus Christ. Now today I want to look at the topic where the anchor holds. Let's read the verse. Verse 19. We have this as a sure and steadfast anchor of the soul, a hope that enters into the inner place behind the curtain. When I first hear the word anchor, I immediately think of a boat anchor, but of course there are different types of anchors, and I think a good image for this one is an anchor like you use when you're climbing a rock face, or hypothetically climbing a rock face, in my case, but you put the anchors to the crevice between the rock, and that's what you secure your carabiner and your climbing rope to. And that's what keeps you in place so that you don't fall. Now think about that anchor going into the rock face. The anchor might be the best on the market that you can buy. But the strength of the hold depends on the strength of that rock into which the anchor is put. This scripture shows us where our hope, where the anchor of the soul holds. When it says this, it says that we have a hope that enters into the inner place behind the curtain. Now, what is this talking about? This is a reference to the temple and the tabernacle, how there was a curtain that would separate the different sections of the tabernacle. And behind the main curtain was what was called the most holy place. And in the most holy place, you had the Ark of the Covenant and the cherubim, these carved creatures. And this is meant to represent the throne of God. In the temple and the tabernacle, in the most holy place, you had a representation of the throne room of God. And now we're told that the anchor of the soul is placed, holds onto this throne room of God. Now, why is that important? Well, notice what it says in the very next verse. Where Jesus has gone as a forerunner on our behalf. So get the picture here. The throne room is God's place. It's the place of God's presence. And the representation, this is the author of Hebrews writing in New Testament times. For Christians, it wasn't about the physical temple and the physical tabernacle. It was the fact that Jesus Christ has ascended after his resurrection into the throne room of heaven and sat down next to God. And we're told that he has gone there, as a forerunner on our behalf. Now, if Jesus is the forerunner, who's the second runner or the behind runner? It's us. It's us. Jesus has gone and we will follow. The reason that this is important is because in God's presence, there's no disease. There's no COVID-19. There's no isolation. There's no social distancing. There's no quarantine. There's only wholeness. Now, my wife thinks I talk about the future maybe a little bit too much, and she might be right, but at a time like this, the vision of the throne room of God and God's presence being the place where we will land up is an anchor of the soul for those who believe in Jesus. Why? Because right now our experience in this age is not that. Yet we have this hope as an anchor of the soul. And as we finish up focusing on this verse, I want to give you a vision of why this is such a powerful hope, and it is the thing to which your hope is anchored. Here's a description of when God's heavenly throne comes to the world in Revelation 22. It says this in verse 1. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, bright as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb, through the middle of the street of the city. Also on either side of the river the tree of life with its 12 kinds of fruit, yielding its fruit each month. The leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. No longer will there be anything accursed, but the throne of God and of the Lamb will be in it, and his servants will worship him. Take heart this morning as you meditate on the anchor of your soul. God bless you.